Did you guys know that you can qualify for Canadian PR in the province of Ontario by having certain selected Tier 4 and 5 job offer and work experience in that field? Tier 4 and 5 were previously known as NOCC and D. Mostly these jobs are manufacturing, warehouse, retail, etc. The best thing about this program is that they do not require you to have full 1 year of work experience. I mean, you would qualify for PR if you have just 9 months of full-time cumulative work experience. However, the program also has many other requirements that are very crucial. So this video will detail everything that you need to know, starting from eligibility criteria to what is it that you need to do to qualify for the program. So yes, let's get the video started. Before I begin this video, make sure that you subscribe to this channel if you haven't done it already, and also hit the bell icon so that you get notified every single time I post a new video. By the way, I am Shivani and I'm a licensed immigration consultant from Waterloo, Ontario, and I'm also the founder of ZESTE Immigration Services Inc. And let's get the video started now. Did you guys know that working certain warehouse jobs in Ontario may qualify you for Canadian permanent residency? Well, yes, it is possible. While Canadian immigration pathways have traditionally focused on high-skilled jobs such as NOC categories OAB, which is now known as Tier 0, 1 to 3, while some changes have opened doors for individuals in NOC C and D roles now classified as Tier 4 and 5 categories under the updated NOC system. Through the Ontario Employer Job Offer In-Demand Skill Stream, you can become eligible for a PR after just 9 months of work experience in specific in-demand occupations. This program is designed for those in lower skilled tier jobs, including warehouse and physically demanding roles. In this video, I will provide a detailed guide on how to take advantage of this opportunity and make your dream of Canadian PR a reality. So let's start by understanding what is the Employer Job Offer In-Demand Skill Stream. The Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, OINP, launched this stream to tackle labor shortages in key industries. It enables individuals working in eligible occupations to apply for PR, provided they meet criteria to job offers, work experience, and employer qualifications. So let's start with job offer requirements. To be eligible under the Employer Job Offer In-Demand Skill Stream of the Ontario PNP, your job offer in Ontario must meet the following criteria set by the employer. But before we begin, here's an important note from the Ontario PNP. So for your application to be approved, the job offer must be valid. So if you are already working for the employer in the approved position, the job offer must take effect on the date you are nominated by the OINP. If you are not working for the employer, the job offer must take effect on the date you obtain a work permit and start working in the approved position. This means your employer must comply with the terms and conditions of the job offer and start paying you the approved wage once you are nominated and commence or begin working. Now let's look at the eligibility requirements one by one. First requirement here is that the job offer must be for a position that is both full-time and permanent. So full-time means the position must require at least 1,560 hours per year, equating to a minimum of 30 hours of paid work week, and permanent means the position must have no predetermined end date. So it must be of an indeterminate duration. Offers for seasonal or contract-based employment are not eligible. Also, your job offer will not qualify if it negatively impacts the employment of a person involved in a labor dispute. Now let's look at the eligible occupations. The position offered can be in any location in Ontario, inside or outside of the Greater Toronto Area, and must be in one of the following occupations in NOC Tier Category 4 or 5. You should be able to see the occupations on your screen right now. Now there's another list of occupations. Now the position offered must be outside of Greater Toronto Area, and this includes City of Toronto, Durham, Halton, York, and Peel regions, and must be in one of the following occupations of the NOC Code Tier Category 4 or 5. You should be able to see this big and nice list on your screen right now. So guys, as you can see, many of these occupations such as shippers and receivers, production logistics workers, and if you see machine operators, plastic processing machine operators, electronics assemblers. So these are like warehouse jobs, and these are not really that hard to find. So if you're able to find any of these jobs, gain sufficient amount of work experience, get some help from your employer, and then once you qualify, you'll be able to use this program to apply for your permanent residency in Ontario. Number 3, median wage level. The pay for the job offered must meet or exceed the median wage level for that occupation in the specific region of Ontario where you will be working. To determine this median wage, visit the job bank website, enter the job title and NOC code of the position into the occupation search, use the location filter to specify where you will be working, and refer to the median wage level displayed in the results. If wage data for the region where you will work or report to work is unavailable, the Ontario-wide median wage should be used. Just a quick mention, if you wish to immigrate to Canada or are looking for more information on Canada immigration programs, be it a study permit, work permit, business immigration, economic immigration, pilot programs, PNPs, express entry, anything, then do subscribe to this channel if you haven't done it already. And also, if you wish to discuss your immigration options for yourself and for your family, then please go to the description box of this video. We offer a variety of consultations. Feel free to book a consultation with me. We offer in-person and virtual consultations. You can book virtual consultations from anywhere on this planet and book in person if you live in Canada and come to see us at our office to discuss your immigration options. Okay, back to the video. If you are already employed in the position, the offered wage must be equal to or greater than your current wage in that role and must also meet or exceed the median wage level. These wage requirements do not apply if your workplace has a collective agreement, means a written contract between the employer and a union that determines your wages. Now let's learn calculating hourly wage for salaried positions. If you're paid an annual salary, your hourly wage can be calculated as follows. Deduct any bonuses or other discretionary benefits from the annual salary, divide the remaining amount by the number of weeks worked per year, usually 52 weeks, and divide this figure by the number of hours worked per week. This result is your hourly wage. Please note that the program does not include remuneration from piecework, bonuses, commissions, vacation pay, or non-financial compensation when calculating your hourly base wage for work experience purposes. Number 4, your position is urgently necessary to employer's business. The position offered must be critically important to your employer's business. This means the job offer must directly align with your employer's current business operations, and the role must be urgently needed to sustain or expand ongoing business activities. Number 5, work based in Ontario. The work associated with the position in the job offer must primarily take place in Ontario. Neither you nor any immediate family member can hold or have held equity in your employer's business, either directly or indirectly, unless the equity is or was less than 10% and was obtained solely as part of an employee remuneration package. The combined total equity held by you or your family members must remain below 10%. Well, as per the government, a family member includes your spouse, common law partner, children under the age of 22, and their children. Now let's look at applicant requirements. So once you receive an invitation to apply, you may proceed with your application to employer job offer in demand skill stream. To have your application approved, you must meet all requirements outlined in the categories below. Number 1 here is expression of interest and invitation to apply. You must have received an invitation to apply and submitted your application within the specified deadline. You must provide evidence that you possessed the qualifications you claimed in the expression of interest submitted to the OINP and affirmed during the registration process. Number 2, work experience. So you must have at least 9 months of cumulative paid full-time work experience or the equivalent in part-time work in Ontario in the same in-demand occupation, means the same NOC code as your job offer. This work experience must have been gained within the 3 years prior to submitting your application, not from the date you received the invitation to apply, while you were legally residing and working in Ontario. Cumulative means that your work experience must total 9 months. It does not need to be continuous. And full-time work experience refers to working in a job for at least 30 hours per week, amounting to at least 1,200 hours of paid work week over a 9-month period. And part-time equivalent work experience means working in one job for at least 15 hours per week, totaling at least 1,200 hours over an 18-month period. Working in multiple jobs for at least 30 hours per week over 9 months, amounting at least 1,200 hours of paid work during that period. That's also a fine arrangement. Now, please note here, guys, that vacation periods, regular sick leave, and other standard paid leave entitlements under collective agreements, workplace legislation, or individual employer policy do not count as interruptions to full-time employment. However, extended leaves are considered interruptions and should not be included in the work experience calculation. If using self-employed periods, you must provide documentation that can be independently verified by third parties. This includes client reference letters outlining your duties and work periods, as well as proof of ongoing payments, such as invoices. Note that self-employment hours must be quantifiable to ensure you accumulated at least 1,200 hours over 9 months. Reference letters from yourself, your business partners, or family members will not be accepted by the program. Number 3, valid license or other authorization only if applicable. So if your job is for an occupation that requires a mandatory license or other authorization in Ontario, you must hold a valid license or authorization from the appropriate regulatory body in Ontario when applying. For further information on licenses and authorizations in Ontario, please visit Ontario's Jobs and Employment website or the Skilled Trade Ontario website. Number 4, language. You must be able to understand, read, write, and speak either English or French at CLB level 4 or higher. So guys, the minimum requirement for this program is just CLB level 4. To demonstrate the required language skills, you must take an approved English or French language test before submitting your application to the stream. The test must have been taken within 2 years prior to submitting your application. Whether you're planning to take the English or French test, make sure that it is from one of these bodies that are on your screen right now, because these are the only acceptable bodies by the government. Number 5, education. You must have either a Canadian secondary school, means high school diploma, or its equivalent from another country. If you completed your education outside of Canada, you must obtain an ECA report that proves your education is equivalent to a Canadian high school diploma. This assessment must be performed by one of the organizations designated by the IRCC, and you can see the list on your screen right now. Each organization has different fees and processing times, so please visit each organization's website to select one that best suits your needs. Also, please note and remember that you must provide the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, means the OINP or Ontario government, with an electronic copy of your ACA report when submitting your online application. The report must not be older than 5 years at the time of submission. For this, you would need to authorize Ontario PNP. So let's see how to authorize the OINP to confirm your ACA results. So the government will need to be able to verify the ECA results with your organization that completed it. This means you must authorize the organization to share the results with the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program electronically. It is not enough to authorize the organization to share your assessment results with IRCC for your application to the OINP. Do not request a paper copy of the report to be mailed to the OINP. Now, to authorize the OINP to access your ACA results, you're required to follow these steps. The steps are on your screen right now. For other organizations, no additional steps are required. So if you have any questions about the ECA process or how to authorize sharing your results with the Ontario PNP, please contact the ECA organization directly. Requirement number 6 here is your intention to live in Ontario. You must intend to reside in Ontario after being granted permanent residence. OINP assesses this intention by looking at your connections to Ontario, which may include activities such as working or having worked in Ontario, receiving job offers, applying for jobs, or attending job interviews, studying, volunteering, leasing or owning property, visiting, having professional networks, affiliations, family connections, or personal relationships, etc. Number 7 is legal status in Canada, if applicable. So if you're applying from within Canada, you must have a legal status such as a visitor record, study permit, or work permit at the time of your application and must maintain that status until the time of your nomination. You may apply if you are in maintained or implied status when submitting your Ontario PNP application. So maintained or implied status means you have submitted an application to IRCC to renew or extend your temporary status documents such as a visitor record, work permit, or study permit before it expires. You can stay in Canada and continue working or studying under the same conditions as your existing permit while awaiting a decision on your pending IRCC application. Now let's look at employer requirements. Let's start with the general requirements. So to qualify under the employer job offer in-demand skill stream, your employer must have been actively operating a business for at least 3 years prior to submitting your application, have business premises in Ontario where you will work, have no outstanding orders under the Ontario Employment Standards Act 2000 or the Occupational Health and Safety Act, show that sufficient efforts were made to recruit a Canadian citizen or permanent resident before offering the position to you. This only applies if you are living outside of Canada or working outside of Ontario. Employers must demonstrate that reasonable efforts were made to recruit a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident before offering the job to the applicant unless the applicant already holds a valid work permit to work in Ontario or the employer has a positive LMIA for the position. If the applicant already has a valid work permit to work in Ontario, the employer does not need to provide a positive LMIA. Number 2 here is revenue requirements. So your employer's business must meet the relevant revenue requirements for the most recently completed fiscal year, the year used for tax or accounting purposes. A minimum of 1 million Canadian dollars in total gross annual revenue if you will work or report to work in the Greater Toronto Area, or a minimum of 500,000 Canadian dollars in total gross annual revenue if you will work or report to work outside of the Greater Toronto Area. Meaning of report to work is that if the applicant will work at more than one location, the location where the applicant will report to work refers to either the location where the applicant's immediate supervisor or manager works, or the administrative office where the applicant will receive work assignments. Number 3 here is full-time employee requirements. Your employer's full-time employee requirements depend on your work location. These requirements differ based on whether your work location is inside or outside Greater Toronto Area and must be met at the time of the application is submitted. If you will work at a location in Greater Toronto Area, or if you will work at multiple locations but report to work at a location in the Greater Toronto Area, your employer must have at least 5 full-time employees who are Canadian citizens or permanent residents working or reporting at the same location. But if you will work at a location outside Greater Toronto Area, or if you will work at more than one locations but report to a location that is outside of the Greater Toronto Area, your employer must have at least 3 full-time employees who are Canadian citizens or permanent residents working or reporting at the same place where you work. A full-time employee is someone who works at least 30 hours per week. For employers with mobile workforce, the minimum number of full-time employees required at the location where you will work or report to work may include both employees who work at that location as well as employees who report to work at that location. Number 4, and one of the biggest requirements from your employer's side for you to qualify in this program is the employer form. Your employer must apply for approval of an employment position by completing and signing an application for approval of an employment position, also known as OINP employer form. If your application is missing the employer form, it will be returned as incomplete. In this case, you must register a new expression of interest and receive an invitation to apply before submitting a new application. Your employer must provide you with the form so that you can scan and upload it along with your application. When assessing your application, the government of Ontario may require additional supporting documents from your employer to verify the information included in the employer form. If you wish to learn more about this, please refer to the employer checklist for a list of possible documents that may be requested by the Ontario government. In my personal practice, I haven't really seen the Government of Ontario asking for documents. It happens in rare cases. I've also seen 1 or 2 cases where they've requested documents where they have doubted people, but those were not my clients. But I've heard that they do request sometimes, so just be prepared, all right? Now let's look at the last requirements, which is scoring factors. So after you register an expression of interest under this stream, you will be awarded points based on certain factors. These factors include your broad occupational category of the NOC code, your hourly wage, your status in Canada, your tenure, means your job tenure with the employer, and your annual earnings, as well as the regionalization. And eventually, if you receive an invitation to apply, you will need to submit specific documents to support each scoring factor for which you earned points. Please note that scoring factors are different from stream criteria, okay? You must meet both. You must meet all the criteria for the stream and provide the required documents with your application. If you have more questions or concerns on this program or any other Canadian immigration program, feel free to contact us at www.zestcanada.ca. I'm a licensed immigration consultant here in Ontario, Canada, and I'll be more than happy to assist you with your PR application. If you wish to contact us, go to the description box of this video. You'll find the links to book a consultation with me, and I'll be more than happy to assist you once you do it. And yes, all the very best, guys, for your future. Take care. See you guys next time in the next video.